What do you feel when you look at these images? It might be nostalgia, longing, or even something unsettling. These images create a sense of uneasiness that's hard to describe. There's something alluring about these eerie photos. I'm not a big horror fan, but the art of liminal spaces is one that's caught my attention for a really long time. The feeling of these images is unlike anything else. Nothing gives me the sense of loneliness and dread that these pictures do. But why is that? To understand why these images evoke the feeling that they do, we first must understand what a liminal space actually is. The definition of liminal is a transitional or initial stage of a process. Liminality is the transition from one point to another. Think of it like this. From the entrance of a school to a classroom, the hallway is the liminal space. It's an in-between place. You may notice that a lot of liminal space photos commonly use hallways, since it's the most literal example of a liminal space. But it's not always a physical place. Liminality can also be a feeling or an event. The transitional period between the past and future is the present, and the time between the start and end of your life is another. But how come these images are unsettling, but the real school hallway you probably walked through this morning isn't? What makes these images so uncanny is the fact that they are taken out of their original context. Like this play place. When you think of one of these places, you commonly associate it with one of the many children that would be at one of these areas. Or maybe just the people walking around the surrounding area. But this image lacks all of that. The mall looks almost abandoned. This location once had a story to tell, but now it feels somewhat desolate. A place known for the hustle and bustle of the shoppers and children is now an empty shell. It almost feels like a husk of what was once there. This is what I mean when I say these places are out of their original context. You associate this place with something so obvious, yet you've never seen it in such a different context. It confuses your brain and almost activates a fight or flight mode, like there's some kind of danger or unwanted presence, but you can't see it. Some of these places once had meaning, but when that's taken away, these places only exist for the purpose of existing. These spaces seem to hold echoes of the past, fragments of stories that we'll never truly understand. An abandoned house, a forgotten highway, or a decrepit amusement park. They all have a lingering presence of what once was. And while these places may seem empty, they are still part of a larger story, one that we'll never fully grasp, but one that we can feel nonetheless. You may feel like you've been here before, but what you once remembered is now skewed in a way. With these images being taken out of their original context, you get the feeling you aren't supposed to be here. You're not supposed to see this. Like an abandoned school, a long neglected classroom, or an empty playground at night. With horror, there's usually something after you, a person or creature hunting you down. But in these places, you just can't tell. There is no monster, no entity, just you and the space. Your brain is constantly searching for the danger, for the small comfort of at least knowing you're being hunted. But you're not. And to me, that's even more unsettling. But liminal spaces aren't all just abandoned schools and office spaces. There are also what I like to call ethereal spaces. These images feel even more displaced from reality, like everything is skewed in this unnatural way. The world isn't supposed to look like this. And again, you're not supposed to see it. These places have a dreamlike quality to them. They aren't as unsettling, but they're just as unnatural. Why were these places built this way? Who designed them? Was it even designed by a human? Your brain subconsciously asks itself these questions, resulting in these places feeling like a hidden corner of reality that wasn't intended for your eyes. Your brain is stuck in a constant state of uncertainty. The best comparison I can make is the Uncanny Valley. The Uncanny Valley is a phenomenon where something appears to be human or normal, but there's something that's off. Something small that keeps it from being too real or too fake. It's not entirely displaced from what you know, but it's not exactly familiar either. This middle ground between these is what the Uncanny Valley is. Usually architecture is designed with a purpose in mind. It's made with thought and care for every aspect. But what about when there's no purpose? That's why these places feel as if they're floating in time. As if time itself is frozen and we are caught in that in-between moment. But that's what makes them so fascinating. These images pull us in with a sense of familiarity, but they're wrong. Something about them does not belong. We may have been in similar places before, but not like this. not empty, not abandoned. We are looking at a past version of reality that no longer exists. And this dissonance, the clash between what we expect and what is, makes us feel like intruders, like we're not supposed to be here, and that unsettles us in a way that's hard to explain. These abandoned homes or empty gas stations, their original purpose is long gone. Everybody has moved on, but you're still the only one here. Despite the uncanny feeling, there's something oddly comforting about some of these images, like you've been here before. Maybe you played at a place like this as a kid. Or maybe you remember walking through the empty, repetitive halls back to your hotel room. These places feel so familiar, yet a lot of us haven't even been here. Like this retro mall. I know I've never been there, since I wasn't born until after this era, yet I somehow feel nostalgia for it. A longing to return to a time I have never existed in. This feeling I'm describing is called anemoia. The definition of anemoia is feeling nostalgia for a time you never knew. That's one of the best ways I can describe some of these images. And there's kind of a beauty in that. You may not have been here, but there's a sense of longing that remains, even though these places are long gone. There's something oddly captivating about these images. They make me feel uncomfortable and maybe even a little unsafe, but I always come back to them. Overall, liminal spaces are more than just empty streets or abandoned buildings. They are reflective in a way, mirroring our own transitions or maybe even reminding us that the moments in between, the liminality, is where growth happens. And perhaps that's why these spaces resonate with us. They remind us of the constant ebb and flow of life, of how nothing is ever truly static, and how even in the most uncomfortable places, there is beauty to be found in the unknown.